Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Untitled Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and joining me this evening is Couture Horton, parent chief, member of the Bermuda Olympic Association Executive Committee, and also she holds many other hats around the IOC movement, the Pan Am movement, Commonwealth movement, and all. But first of all, Couture, good evening and thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me, Earl. It's always a pleasure.
Yes. Can you just run down some of the subcommittees that you are on outside of Bermuda? We know that you hold positions on the Bermuda Olympic Association, but what are the committees outside of Bermuda you currently sit on as far as when it comes to the IOC or Pan Am or Commonwealth?
Right. So let me think. My newest committee that I'm sort of a brand new member on it is the Pan Am Sport Technical Commission. So that's great. The Commonwealth Games has an advisory committee that I am a part of, and we're really excited because the Birmingham Games are going to start this year, just in a few months' time. Otherwise, I'm on several diving committees. I'm a diving judge, a FINA certified judge. So I'm actually on the WANA Technical Diving Committee, which is the, they call it Pan Am Aquatics now. And so that's just within aquatics, all the sports have their subcommittees. And the other one is the Central American and Caribbean Technical Diving Committee. So just trying to stay involved with diving and with sport around the globe, really.
Your recent assignment was in Cali. We'll talk about the diving first, because obviously it's a sport in which you represent the country at the Olympics. But seeing the young athletes there, because it was an under-23 tournament, but in the sport of swimming and diving, we see so many, just like gymnastics, we see so many at the younger end taking part. So what do you think about the region when you look at the divers at the ages that you saw?
Yeah, I mean, diving is a little bit of a different sport. Like you said, it's like gymnastics. So we had someone who was sixth place at the Olympic Games who was competing in Cali. So he was phenomenal, and he didn't even win. So the standard of diving is very, very high in the region. What we'd like to see is a little more involvement from other countries. So, the Spanish-speaking countries in the Pan Am region do an incredible job. So they have programming, their kids are phenomenal, and we're talking Cuba and Mexico, but also Canada and the United States. They did quite well, but I mean, the level of diving is it's so high. It's so high. I'm glad I'm out.
I'm always impressed, especially when we do the Central American and Caribbean games, when we watch the pool stuff, because it's not just swimming, it's synchronized swimming, which for me, I've been mesmerized by how they choreograph all those routines.
I don't know how they stay not drowning. It's amazing. and when I was in Cali, because I was part of the technical commission, we got assigned certain sports. And one of mine it was formerly called synchronized swimming, but now it's called artistic swimming. And so I sat in these technical meetings, and I mean, they have, I don't know how they're not drowning, all of these rules that they have to do. And it's just, it's incredible to watch these other sports. It's really quite cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about this technical committee that you currently sit on. You say you're new to it. What are some of the things that they go over, especially when you get to the major events, having already put things in place for the event? Now you're at the event and you have to reassure the coaches, the managers, and everybody that these rules are now up to date and these are what we're doing by.
So that's the thing. I was way in over my head when I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'm just a pipsqueak. But, I'm there was so much more than just going and having a technical meeting, we had to ensure that the facilities were up to scratch. We then had to make sure that the broadcasting was going to be on schedule with the meets. And there all of these intricacies that make the games go off are just, I mean, unless you're in it, you really just don't know. And as an athlete, I knew very little on that game side of, all of the ins and outs that go into making a major games happen. So, from ensuring that uniforms are up to the right, I don't know, specifications,
Mm.
to the fact that the facilities are in line with international standards, and that, I mean, for example, with artistic swimming, they have a platform that was built too short. I knew nothing about that until we had a technical meeting and they said, oh, the platform's too, so I'm running around trying to get things. It was insane. But, you know, uh, the games themselves went off without a hitch. So I guess for me, it was establishing my space in that technical commission as someone who can be helpful to the people who actually make the magic, who are the coaches and the judges and the athletes. So really just making sure that everything is set up for them to thrive.
You say you're also on the um, Commonwealth Committee as well. What's some of the things that you've learned in that committee that you kind of take to, I guess, to dive into to all sorts of other events that you do as well?
So that specific committee is really sort of unique, because the Commonwealth Games as a games, and Commonwealth sport as an organization, has a pretty painful history that they try to overcome at every step of the way. So I guess for me, what I've learned with that advisory committee is the importance of always acknowledging history, and always acknowledging that, in sports that, especially like mine, that are historically white leaning, or that we see mainly men, or mainly one race, or mainly one, uh, I don't know, any young
One side,
people.
one
So
side.
right. So it's really important that we figure out what diversity, equity, and inclusion looks like in all of these different realms. So
Mm.
being able to take the lessons from specific committees and apply them across the board is really challenging, but it's a pretty fun thing to do.
Mm. Now, when you put your hand up to be on these committees, what are you hoping to gain?
So I think for me, it is the give back. Somebody has done the work for me throughout my career. A lot of people have done the work for us, and we don't know these things as athletes. And a lot of these uh, events that we go to, or just competitions, or just even just teams that we're selected to, people do all these behind the scenes things that we just don't know about. So for me, I want to give back, I want to serve athletes, I want to help. um, and a lot of these things are in volunteer capacity, so volunteers make these games go off. And yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a duty. I had the honor of representing Bermuda for several years at so many of these events. So if there's anything that I can do, especially from a small country in the Caribbean region, where we may or may not have representation or a voice on these committees, hearing from a former athlete, hearing from a competitor in these games is, I've found to be quite useful for a lot of these bodies.
Mm. And one of the things I know is that you're coming from an athlete background and understanding what the athlete can be going through. Now learning the technical part of it, it could be challenging because you've gone through all the trials, tribulations, the struggles, the tears, and all, and now you see on the other side that maybe not everything I went through, I might have missed information, or information was missed. Can you see yourself? Trying to, I guess, iron those kinks out? So what you've gone through in your career as a young person, someone else can kind of, that could be negated of sorts.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like you hit the nail on the head. There are almost, it's like a watershed moment for me to be able to see the, you know, just the intricacies of the entire thing. You know, when I think of the way that we have been able to give back at the Olympic Association level, so the Bermuda Olympic Association level, having athletes and having an athletes commission, and just having people like Brian Wellman on the standards committee, Jenny Smatt on the standards committee, Julian Fletcher heading up the athletes commission, having, and myself on the executive board, having these athlete voices saying, you know, maybe this is not the best way to serve athletes, has really changed. And I think of the evolution of the Bermuda Olympic Association under the leadership of Judy Simons, where, you know, when I went to the Olympic Games in 2004, my mother funded my career. You know, there was no money to be had. There was, I mean, I remember Peter Bromby selling Christmas trees. We just didn't get anything. We had no way of growing in our sport outside of personal financial investment. The other day, I had the honor of approving budgets for athletes where some of them are being paid 100% of their budget. You know, it's really just in 20 years, and I know that seems like a lot, but in 20 short years, we've been able to go from an sort of administrative focused group to an athlete centered group. So doing things like focusing on sports psychology, they're getting 100% funding to seek sports psychology. And you and I both know that, you know, you get to that starting line physically, a lot of these athletes are the same. And the mental game is where we either win or lose. So having that available to athletes, which none of us ever had, you know, is fantastic. So being able to give back in that way has been great. I think that a lot of administrators who don't have an athletic background lack sort of that foresight. So having them be so sort of open-minded has been really good.
Sure. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Couture Horton Parenting. We'll be right back.
Our old friends Arrowhead Mills was founded in the 1960s in the famous Texas Panhandle with the ambition to promote the production and use of pesticide-free grain, cereals, and pulses. The mission was to bring the most wholesome food attainable to the mainstream markets. Since then, Arrowhead Mills has increased its range of products, most of which are certified organic. You can be sure that Arrowhead Mills know a thing or two about good eats. This month, we're featuring Arrowhead Mills green and red organic lentils. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Katura, what has been some of the satisfying things you've been able to accomplish since you've been on not only the Olympic Committee, but these other committees?
Let's see. We did the CC Can Championships, diving championships in Cuba, not too long ago, which was an absolute honor to be able to bring those championships to Cuba. The best part, my mom loves Cuba, so I let her tag along, but the significance of having a sporting event of that magnitude, which was actually a qualifier for one of the other bigger games in Cuba, was that they had not hosted it for so long, and we were able to sort of galvanize, get them some of the equipment that they needed in order to get this going. And as one of the most prolific diving countries in the region, it was just an incredible thing to watch their greats come out of retirement, to sort of just watch this take place, and to have the rest of the world's eyes on Cuba for that was really great. So to me, that's a really fantastic memory of something. And the other thing was just being able to, we had a Commonwealth Games Federation meeting for the Americas region in Montego Bay, and being able to talk to the Commonwealth Sport Federation about the rebranding of Commonwealth Games, and again keeping in historical context that the rebrand may really involve a name change and an acknowledgement of some very painful history. It was really an honor to speak frankly and openly with some of those big countries that really don't have that history. So I really enjoyed both of those experiences with committees.
Yeah. Now, just hearing you talk about that, let's talk a little bit about diversity on these committees, because obviously a lot of we've seen a lot of change, but it's been, what did you call it, that 20 years just now?
Slow.
It's
been slow. It's been
very slow. But being now on the inside, how do you see it changing over the years to make it more equal? Because we were, before we came on the air, we were talking about Lolo, just talking about how it's 18 more spots in the bobsledding for men than it is for women. In the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, and there's still a big divide.
At this point, that's just inexcusable. There's nothing you could say to rationalize that. And as I was telling you before, I'm on the Pan Am Sports Technical Commission, which that's 14 people, 13 of them are men. I am the only woman on that committee, and that's just not good enough. In 2022, it's not good enough. And as I tell them in every single meeting, I have no intention of being the token diversity hire. I don't want to be that. I don't think that that adds value. I think that what we have to continue to do is change hearts and minds and get away from this just underlying opinion that sports is for men, or that the sporting world is male dominated. It's not. Women from athletes to coaches to judges and administrators, we belong in this sphere. we should have equal representation in this sphere. And yeah, we need to do better. And for example, I feel that when there is a committee that there's only one woman who's on, that all the men on the committee need to say, excuse, what's going on here? You know, we need to always bring it up. Same thing with a committee that doesn't have diversity in race or diversity in age. We still, a lot of these organizations, I mean, I'm barely under 40, and I'm one of 3 people under 40 at the technical commission level. So, you know, there's even that, there's ageism, there's sexism, there's racism, and we need to call it to the forefront every step of the way. And it is, progress is slow, but there is progress. So I'm happy about that.
Just sitting here listening to you say that, the first thing that came to my mind was Bermuda could be a start. And I say that you have a women in sports committee. And are there any men on that committee?
Yes.
Right. So that if you start to champion that the women have a committee and they're showing that they want to have male input, I think that's a start of trying to change the direction or the mindset of the what would we call them, the outer statesmen, you know, of these games, of the IOC.
The old boys club. What's funny is, you know, we had 12 years of President Judy Simons, and she was one of 5 female presidents in the region of Olympic associations, which was, I mean, really quite prolific. And under her, we had VP Brenda Dale. We now have a female Secretary General in Bramman Smith King. We have a female treasurer in Julia Hawley. So, you know, Bermuda actually does quite well with female representation on the Olympic Association sort of level. Our Women in Sport Committee is headed up by Donna Rayner, who has been really vocal about having the involvement of men. And mainly, you know, we don't really need y'all's input. It's really about education, right? It's really about you know, the education of some of the men so that they can take back these lessons into their national federations, so that this can sort of permeate throughout. I'm looking at the recent successes of our senior women's national team coach. I mean, she's phenomenal. And holding her up on the pedestal that she deserves to be on, and holding these girls, our women's team, up on the pedestal that they deserve to be on as they take on these teams in Jamaica. You know, I think we need to continue to do these things and be vocal about the excellence and the incredible standard of women in sport in this country.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you pointed out the amount of women we have in these positions. As we know around the region, it's nowhere near, you know, it's still dominated. And for the most part, even some of our sports are still dominated by men leadership. Not saying it's something wrong with it. It's just, it's good to have a diversity group, especially on any executive. And the other most important thing right now is, as you mentioned it earlier, the athletes should be represented as well. And you have that. You have that. Because the athletes.
I think, you know, when we talk about things like funding or availability of practice time, you know, there was a time when the girls team would have to practice at night under, you know, these just terrible circumstances, or they'd have games when nobody could watch them, where the guys would have premium times and they were prime time games. So, you know, as we start to value the input of women, and I mean, on the back of some of our highest performing athletes, our Olympic gold medalists notwithstanding, you know, valuing the input of women is the start. And then the empowerment of these women and girls, from athletes all the way up to coaches and administrators, and enjoying a spot at the table, that's really what sort of inflicts change over time. It's not just having your token woman on a committee. It's not. It's about understanding the value that people from different experiences, including from a woman's point of view or from a female athlete's point of view, in just valuing that input really does go a long way over time.
And we know over the weekend it was announced that we'll be hosting the Cac Hockey Qualifiers here, which is exciting because it's another opportunity for Bermuda to be showcased in the region at an international competition.
Let's do it.
Definitely. I mean,
yeah,
to be on show in your home country, I think it's time the country got behind, especially when we're taking part in things. Internationally, I think the last time we had the qualifiers here, I can't remember the year, 2017 or 2006 or 2007, something like that. It wasn't really, supported by Bermuda in supporting our team, and I think that this time around, I think we should turn the tables on that, because we need to support our athletes. Not just when they win, but we need to be there to support them and lift them up when things are not going as well as they would like it to. I mean, we filled the stadium up for Carifta games with a diversity group of countries that show up in Bermuda. Here's another opportunity that some of these same countries will be here. So there's an opportunity. Yeah. I
agree.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for your time. And we look forward to chatting with you more and more, as obviously these major festivals are coming fast and furious, the junior ones and the senior ones. So it's going to be a busy 2022 right through to 2028. So
can't wait.
Keep your hat on. You enjoy the rest of your evening. When we come back, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be talking with Keith De Silva, the president of the Bermuda Hockey Federation. We'll be right back.
Amy's Kitchen is an independent organic food company, a family business who've been producing wholesome and flavorful foods over 30 years. From their first pot pie right up to 1 million meals a day, and firmly believe in the importance of TLC throughout the entire process. This month we're featuring a range of Amy's organic beans, refried and baked, chilies, medium, spicy and beyond, and a multitude of organic soups, minestrone, chunky tomato bisque, cream of mushroom, hearty Thai coconut, and much more. Lindo's, why anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Well, good evening, Mr. De Silva. How are you?
I'm fine, Earl. How are you?
Doing wonderful. First of all, congratulations on being awarded the host of the CAC qualifiers. It's been a while.
2 years. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we were ready to host, or we were ready to announce that we were going to host, and then
COVID hit.
This magical thing called COVID hit, and
Exactly. And we
had
rescheduled, and COVID hit, and we rescheduled, and COVID hit. It just, yeah. This is and I was listening to a little bit of what you were saying earlier. I think this is the end. You know, we're starting to see progress, right? We're starting to see things come back and open up again, which is good. Let's just hope it continues.
Yeah. So from your end, what are some of the things that has to be done in Bermuda to be able to, or what are some of the things we have to pass in order to be able to be the host of the qualifiers?
Sorry, say that again. So what do we have to do in order to get the qualifiers?
We have to get in place in order to be the host of the qualifiers?
Just be an interested party. They were. I'm not saying they were desperate to find somebody, but it's definitely harder and harder to find people to host. Especially 2 years ago, they approached us, and we were keen to be part of that because we had done it before. But many years ago, it's a good opportunity for us because we don't have a lot of opportunities to go overseas. Sending one or two people, going away with one or two people is easier than a team of 20, 22, 25. That's a big ask for a lot of people. So to host it locally is just going to be great. I mean, we've got so much interest already from players, current, and people who have played before. They're coming out of retirement. They're just excited to be part of it. So I'm hoping that I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a good event.
Yeah. Now we say we're looking at the administrative side, but on the court side, we've had a team in waiting for so long now. The good thing about our team, they were actually 2 years ago a lot younger than they would have met up with the tournament that they were due to be in. So now of age, with a little more experience, how do you see their chances?
Well, one of the good things that the organization has had over the last couple of years is we've really built up our base. We had a big age gap from 14, 15 to 20, mid 20s, and that gap has not shrunk, but we certainly have a lot more younger players in that 16, 17, 18 age bracket that are now eager to show off the hard work that they put in for the last 2 years. And we have, we've got some players who have played before who are looking to come back. We've got new adults who have come back to the sport, re-energized. We see them running around the field. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting mix for sure. And we're open. I mean, like I said, we're eager. We've got some big changes. We've got, obviously, we've had, I had a conversation, I think a year ago about a coach that came. Unfortunately, we've since parted ways. But, over the last, what's it now? I can't even remember what the day is, February. Over the last 4 months, we've been pushing to try and find somebody to replace. And we've actually found somebody to replace. And they land on Saturday night. So he's going to hit the ground hard, and he's already got us a training plan. He's got a schedule. So we're ready to put our best foot forward for this. We want to really show off our players.
When can we see league play resuming?
This Friday night.
Okay.
It was the we had the sports change, so we were able to go back, but under the large group exemption. The large group exemption, the only difference was they mandated an antigen test. And we're not a big money making club. We don't have the sponsorship of some of the bigger overseas sponsors. So that antigen test would have just cost our members a lot more money than what they were willing to. So we waited, and luckily the group size changed to 100, and here we're ready to go. So I think that announcement was 10 days ago. So we've pushed and Friday night we've got a doubleheader, and Sunday morning we've got a doubleheader.
Okay. And of course, the tournament that's going to be here, it's male and female. One of the things we've struggled with over the last few years is the numbers of males playing in the sport in Bermuda. Do you think this is an opportunity to inspire some people that they can get involved in the sport? I'm not saying we'll have a team in this one, but just inspire them to get involved in the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, we're definitely going to have a team this year. I'm 100% confident that we're going to have a men's and a women's team. We have enough men on the island and one of the things that's happened out of the COVID is that the other hockey group, the Bermuda Hockey Academy, have joined forces with us. So they're playing in the league. So, we have an opportunity to mix up with the players and the men and get them involved together. And they're keen to play, because obviously this is a big deal for a lot of people. Representing your country is a big deal, regardless of what the platform is. Just wear the pink and blue colors and represent your country on your in your own country. It's huge. So I think we'll have a better showing with the women, though. I think we'll have a little bit more interest, but only because we have a larger women population of hockey players.
Right. And it's not a long tournament, but it's going to be a lot of hockey being played. Some teams playing two games a day, is it?
I'm still waiting on the schedule. Once the schedule comes out, then we'll start pushing it out to all the media. They promised it to me either. We were waiting on one country to confirm, which they finally confirmed, I think Monday. So we're waiting for the schedule to come out. Once the schedule comes out, I think there's 4 men's teams and 6 women, I believe. So there's more women's team coming. So they'll have more opportunity to play. It is the 14th to the 17th. So yeah, you've got to get round robin in, and top 2 qualify for the CACs. So I think the men only have to beat 1 or 2 teams, and women's got to beat 2 teams to get up into that top level. So it'll be close. It'll be exciting. So
it should be right from the start.
Yeah.
Now, over the 2 years, obviously, like you said, coaches have changed and so forth and so forth. How has the organization itself weathered the COVID storm?
We've done our best. It's been tough because we've had such lulls. With the league started up, again in September, and then we had a massive break because of an outbreak. And our season's short enough as it is. It really is from September to Easter. So the league, this year's league is gonna end, and then we'll see the CAC qualifiers. So our Saturday program still runs strong. We see 80 to 90 kids still coming out. So the interest is there, and every week I get an email from another parent who's looking to bring their child along. So I'm hoping I get to see some good games and really bring that. But the board's held on strong, and we've been waiting for this opportunity, and we're now running strong to get this qualifier going. There's a lot to do in a very short period of time. No fault of ours, obviously. I mean, like you said, we were waiting on confirmation, and once we got the confirmation, it was okay. Now we've got the confirmation what we need to do, and it's nothing. I love my country, but we don't move too quickly for certain. As you know, I feel like I'm working with government workers every day. It's so, but everyone's been great. I mean, we've we're engaging people. Businesses are starting to come out and and support us. So we just, like I said, we just gotta put our best foot forward and get cracking.
Definitely. Now the coach comes in on Saturday. What's been the early conversations you've had with him with regards to what you want to accomplish short term and long term? Because obviously short term is the CAC, but long term is obviously improving our ranking throughout the region.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, short term for us is the CACs. Get the 2 national teams going, get the training going. Help with we're all volunteers, so any help that he can provide with our youth programs or even our adult programs. Go and speak to schools, go and speak to people, just get the word out. long term, if he's, if everything works out, I'm hoping he comes back in September. And then he can continue the groundwork that he's laid, and we can, because obviously if we succeed in the qualifiers, then the next target is the CACs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and from there, who knows? Pan Am Cups, we've got Pan Am Games. We have a lot of opportunity to at least showcase ourselves in there. Looking through the history of the international, we haven't been away in a long time. I think the last time we were away was Jamaica. I think we were was 4 years ago, 6 years ago.
6 years ago, 2015, I think.
Yeah. And before that was even longer. We haven't had a youth team go away, I think, since I want to say in the 1900s, pre-2000s. So it'd be nice to see a youth team go away and represent. So we just need to put those teams together and then just be consistent.
But we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Keith Silva, the president of the Bermuda Hockey Federation. We'll be right back.
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
John Barrett & Son, home of Bermuda's best beverages, is starting the new year with an exciting new beverage, Numa, the organic sport hydration drink. Founded by brothers Brandon and Jared, both pro hockey players, Numa stands for No More Artificials and is an organic plant-based sports drink with real ingredients like organic coconut water and Himalayan pink salt. Numa partnered with fitness groups in the USA early in their development and expertly responded to the call for purity and simplicity. Try all flavors of Numa organic sports drink this month. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Keith, the tournament, it's not an under-23 tournament, is it?
No, it's not an under-23. It's an open tournament, so I would expect players minimum age possibly 16, maximum age could be I don't want to say, but we have some wise and seasoned players who are interested in.
Well, let's just put it like this. The last CAC games that Bermuda played hockey in, we had the oldest female player.
Okay. We'll be close, I'm sure. So, but that's all fine. I mean, like I said, it's not. It's great. This is a good thing about the sport is there's no limitation on age.
Right.
They do have masters divisions which have the limitation, but it's an open event. Anyone who's interested in coming to play, just come down. I know one of the new things that the coach is coming has said that there are going to be trials because we do have a large number of interest. Once we finalize dates, obviously we'll announce what the trial dates are, so that he can have a look, make his recommendations, and then we'll announce teams probably the day after. So yeah, it's imminent. I mean, we're talking. I would say you'll know within 2 weeks for sure, 10 days or so. But yeah, it's close. And then, like I said, we're just knee deep into training and getting the team sorted. There's a lot to do, but we're excited. I'm really excited. So.
Are all the teams staying at one location, or?
We provided the BTA was obviously helpful. The tourism board was helpful in providing hotel recommendations. So we've sent them a bunch of hotel recommendations. A couple of the hotels, I think Grotto Bay has stepped up and really offered a good rate for them. Bermuda's we've always been a premium destination, so we're not cheap. So we're doing our best, and I think the teams have sorted that out and making their way. The biggest challenge I hear from some of them is just the transient visa between them and the U.S., because obviously we have no direct flights, so they just have to make sure they can get through the airport in the U.S. to come in.
That's always going to be a challenge coming from the South American countries, which
Puerto Rico. We got Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Guyana. We've got a women's team from Guyana coming.
Right.
So it'll be really. We've got a wide range of different groups coming. So
if they were smart, they'll get a travel agent, get a private, and
all come together.
We'll meet in Jamaica and then make your way down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leave them up to them. I'm sure they'll sort it out.
So Bermuda's required for what was that? Ground transportation, meals, and all that. How does that work for them?
So the teams are still responsible for all of that. We'll put them in touch with. We've put them in touch with the best opportunity. I know Tammy Ray. She knows a lot of people, so she's put people in with that have got the minibuses, the hotels, because we don't know when they're going to come and go. We've got to work with the National Stadium to get they booked out the field for us. They're allowing us to use the Philadelphia field for training or for warm-ups. So they've been helpful. Everyone is coming together slowly. We just got to make sure that everything's in right. We'll be responsible for the officials, and obviously we had to wait for the schedule to determine how many teams are coming, to determine how many schedules. We're all waiting. Every time we're waiting on somebody else for another piece of information, and then we can move forward.
Right.
But we've got a lot of volunteers who are willing to help up. We'll transport people around. We did the same thing in the Island Games. My wife, she had one of the countries and took them everywhere. I'm sure she'll do. Sure, she's already all volunteered to help with one of the other teams, and she speaks the language, which is great.
And that's also a good thing.
It's always a good thing. So.
That's also a good thing. So as you said now, because we don't have we don't have a men's league right now. Can you see quickly us getting maybe two or three teams, all men, playing at a higher tempo in preparation for this event?
We don't have a men's league, but there is that mixed league. So we do have, and they're 80% men, with a couple of women filling in the extra gaps, only because women wanted to play as well. It just allows everyone to play more. The Hockey Academy have got 2 full men teams that they can probably put together. We have probably a team and a half that we can get together. Again, it's that age bracket. So we have a lot of our players are pushing that older age, and I saw one of them today, and he played last night. He says, "I'm struggling to walk today." So obviously he had a good session last night. But that's one night a week. I mean, I don't think I think it'll be tough for some of our players to do. Again, I don't know what the schedule's like. Back-to-back games, or at least a morning and an evening game, would certainly be tough. One of the great things is it's over the Easter weekend, so everyone should be on break.
Right.
So we're hoping for a good turnout. And
sure. now we're in a unique situation with a Pan Am referee as well as one of our players. So how does that work? And I'm speaking of Donnie Simmons, who is one of the top referees in the region. And here we are, we're going to host a Pan Am event. Any talks with Donnie first to figure out where he's going to put his hat?
Oh, he's playing. There's no question about it. He told, as soon as we announced that we were looking to host, he's like, I'm playing, and we were fine with that. I think that even his mom's like, yeah, any opportunity to put the pink and blue on, he would play first and ref second. So, and I'm happy for that. I mean, he plays. He's a strong player. He's working on his fitness. You can see him out there putting the effort in. So all the best. I hope I really hope he makes a team and then can really show what he can do on the field. Sure,
definitely. Well, what we'll do is we'll keep reaching out as we get closer to the time, and whenever you have announcements to make, we'll kind of try to get you back on, and when the new coach arrives, hopefully we can get to sit and chat with him as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping he comes to the game Sunday morning. So okay, we might be seeing you Sunday morning then.
We might be seeing me Sunday morning.
There's no running races. There's no running and walking races. They're still being pushed around. So
yeah. So Sunday morning.
Bright and early. We'll see you there.
Well,
it's not too early.
It's some other events, but yeah.
No. If I haven't sent you the schedule, I'll do it tonight.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Keith, I want to thank you very much for joining me this evening and giving Bermuda an update on the upcoming CAC qualifiers at the National Sports Center in April. And we really look forward to what Bermuda can put out there, and hopefully, if the support that they get, make it to the CAC games, which is later on this year.
Yeah. So,
not to put any more pressure on you, but
no pressure. Thanks. We'll get there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, folks, I want to thank you very much for your time this evening. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Untitled Sports Show. Do enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you, Keith.
All right, Earl.
Okay.